feedback. Okay, how do we go back?
Fine, so. Okay. This thing is slow. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome. I'm just waiting for this tablet to catch up with TikTok. I am streaming on 3 different platforms. I'm streaming on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah, that get fancy, right? Hi, Ty, Stella. Ty, it's been a minute. Hope you're doing well. Guys, if you're new to the channel, please say hello. I say hello back, okay? I'm not a chihuahua or anything. I don't bite people's heads off. Okay, if you're new and you're wondering what this channel is about, this is Narc Survival 101. Okay, this is a weekly live. I'm going to be resuming my weekly lives, guys. I'm going to be back on on Fridays. It's going to be every Friday. It's going to be around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I have to start changing the times on my my content, but I have a very hectic week. I have classes, 5 classes, Monday through Thursday, and then I get to do the lives on Fridays, and then weekends I get to relax. But for anyone who is new to the channel, this is Narc Survival 101. Okay, this is a channel designed for victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse, domestic abuse, any kind of relational abuse, toxicity, you name it, that's what we do. Just waiting for this to catch up because it seems like it's just a little. Hi, official. Hi, Chris. How are you? Okay. Okay. This thing is super slow. I'm looking down at the tablet, guys, because I cannot see on the phone. It's so small. The words are so small. So like I said, I'm going to be resuming my lives on Fridays. It's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know Fridays are usually, days that people go out and do whatever it is that they do, but that's the only time I will be able to do my lives on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, because on the weekends I'm going to be studying. I'm going to just be doing so much. So this is going to be the only time.
TikTok is slow.
It is, right? So I'm just waiting for what is going on, TikTok. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with TikTok, guys. It seems like it's acting.
Try backing out and coming back in. It says try reloading. So come out and go back in.
Come out and go back in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Everybody on TikTok, I'm going to log off and then I'm going to log back on. It just seems like it's running really, really slow. So I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anyone or if anyone's typing anything, because it just for some reason it seems like it's going really, really slow. So I'm gonna log out and then I'm gonna log back in. Okay, so if you get the alert, oh wait, it looks like there we go. Okay. I'll give it a little bit more, and then if it gives me a hard time, I'll log off, I'll curse it out for a bit, and then I'll log back in. But like I said, guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Welcome to Narc Survival 101. My name is Erica. For those of you who do not know me, I am I don't do social media influencer stuff. That's not the kind of thing that I look to be called. It's simply what my profile says. I'm a survivor just looking to help pave the way for other survivors. Okay, so for anyone who's been in a narcissistically abusive relationship, toxic relationship, whether it be with family members, whether it be with lovers, friends, what have you, we're here to talk about some stuff. We're here to just pretty much help people maneuver through their situations. And depending on where you're at in your healing stages, depending on where you're at in your, discard or whatever the case may be, I'm here for it. So if you have questions, please be sure to don't be afraid to ask questions. There are no dumb questions. Whatever questions you have, please be sure to ask them. Okay, because that's what we're here for. And I just want to give a fair warning. My content is triggering. Okay, the things that I do discuss can be triggering. And if you are easily offended, or if you are not sure if you will be able to handle it, then the best thing I could tell you is log off or scroll, scroll up. This will be on my YouTube. It will be on my Facebook. And when the time comes that you're able to handle whatever it is that I have to say about it, you can always come back. You can always join in and you can always get the answers that you need. All right. I actually wanted to, talk about something that's really interesting. I wanted to talk about triangulation for a second. And the reason I wanted to talk about triangulation is because if you're not familiar with what triangulation is, I have videos on it, but it's pretty much, what's funny, because triangulation is actually one word, but it means many things. And if you've ever heard triangulation, and a lot of people in the Narc survival community have heard that word, it's, what you get out of that word is a triangle, triangulation, triangle. And it's basically using a third party, whether it be friends, family, another lover. It can be, a platform. Third party can even be a platform, guys. It could be social media. It could be anything that gains attention. But triangulation is a manipulation tactic used by a manipulator to pretty much manipulate their partner or manipulate their family members. And there are different types of triangulation. One of the types of triangulation that can be utilized is trying to start competition. So often what a narcissist would do is when they want you to compete for them, because they love for people to compete for them. Okay, believe that or not, they love for people to compete with them. And of course, if you fall into that habit, or if you fall into that triangulation, don't feel bad, don't feel ashamed about it, because we've all been there. What they will do is they could utilize social media, they could utilize external people, friends, relatives, what have you. They can utilize different people and different methods to instill jealousy within you. Okay. And when they put that jealousy within you and you start to become reactive, you start to see things not in the way that you need to see them, but in the way they want you to see them. So what they will end up doing is they may use the opposite sex, or for anybody in same-sex relationships, they can use the same sex. They will use the attention of the opposite sex to put jealousy within you. Okay. And then what you end up doing is you end up really trying to fight for them. So you end up you don't realize it, but you're competing with people that you really need not be competing with in the first place. But they will, possibly put up pictures on social media and they get attention off of these people, strangers even. And these could be people that they have no intention on dealing with. They're just basically using the platform to get attention from other people and to put that jealousy, that fear within you, prompting you to compete for their love. Another way of doing it is ignoring you, which is stonewalling you and giving you the silent treatment, all while doing other things, again, on social media, or if you see them doing things outside on the streets or wherever that may be, they're pretty much trying to put up this facade. Look at me, I'm getting all this attention. Look at what, what you have. Because remember, if they haven't discarded you yet, or if they haven't gotten to the point of the final discard, the final stage of discard, then what they're going to end up doing is they're going to end up playing mind games with you, where they will utilize these tactics to get other people attention from other people, to put that jealousy within you. Be careful with that. Please be careful with that. So if you find yourself in the stage of looking through their social media, or if you find yourself, trying to find answers, and, be careful, because when you look, you will find things, but you will become very reactive. You will become extremely reactive. And what that will end up doing is that it'll end up working in their favor both ways, because when you react, it basically justifies them doing the things that they do. But when you react, it pushes them to show people a side of you that people have never seen before. And let's face facts, we all got two different sides to ourselves, okay? We have the sides to ourselves that, we're good people, we're giving people, we're people pleasers. That's what we do. But when people are screwing with our mind, or when they're messing with our emotions, we become very reactive. And that's a side that I'm sure not many people have seen. But if they play the game right, and in this case, I'm pretty sure if you're going through a discard, they are playing it right. They will not only pretty much set up the dominoes, but they'll knock it down, but it'll have your fingerprints on it. Okay, so that generally means I'm doing all of this stuff to get a reaction out of you, to get jealousy out of you, to, show people this person is crazy. Look at what this person is doing. I'm not doing anything to this person, because they're making it appear as if they're not doing anything to hurt you intentionally. Okay. Oftentimes, they'll say it, which is part of gaslighting. I'm just putting up a photo. I don't see what their problem is. You see, they're jealous, they're insecure. This is how they're responding. But people aren't seeing what's really going on, and they're not seeing what's going on behind the scenes. Okay. Because everything with a narcissist is behind the scenes. It's not. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 sec. Okay, it's saying some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. I'm not understanding that.
TikTok is just really just showing people who follow this.
TikTok is just. I can say hold con ellos. But they're not telling people what's really going on. Guys, if you're commenting, I apologize. I can't see anything from over here, and I'm looking at my tablet. I don't see anything. So I just want to let you know that I'm not ignoring anyone. But if you have questions, please be sure to ask. But yeah, they're doing these things to pretty much get a reaction out of you, instill jealousy, put fear in you, the fear of losing them. Okay, because it's like that showboating, like, hey, look at all these people that want my attention. And oftentimes they'll do that to keep you in line. Okay, they will do that to keep you in line. Usually triangulation within your relationship can consist of them mentioning certain things that they know would bother you. Okay, if they say something to the effect of, another person flirted with them, or another person was coming on to them, or another person was, trying to steal them away from you, or whatever the case may be. They're trying to instill that jealousy within you. They're trying to let you know, I can have other people. I have options. Okay. They're trying to pretty much put that out there, but indirectly put that out there, because triangulation is indirect communication. It's not direct communication. It's not telling you straight to your face, well, I have X, Y, and Z. I have options. I have this. I have that. No, they'll use triangulation because they know that if they indirectly communicate with you, which everybody knows what an indirect is, right? You know what a subliminal message is. I mean, people do it all the time on social media. They put up subliminal messages because they want to get the attention of the person or people that they're trying to throw shade to. But they're not doing it directly, because if the person responds because they know that that's who, they're who that person is referring to, then they can go ahead and blow it up even bigger by saying what? oh, well, if the shoe fits, I mean, I wasn't saying anything about you. I didn't say anything about you specifically, but if the shoe fits, you understand? That's a real coward way to do things, but that's what they do. Flowers, having a hard time leaving it. I know it's hard, and leaving a narcissistically abusive relationship is very hard, because being in that type of relationship is like being on a drug. Okay, it's like being on a drug. When you have become so, you become, I guess you can say, immune to it. You become numb to the abuse, because after a while you're so caught up in a traumatic bond that the back and forth becomes second nature for you. It becomes second nature. It's very hard to leave, but it's not impossible to leave. You have to have the will and the strength, the willpower to say, enough is enough. I got to get out of this, because if I don't, I could end up, really seriously. People can end up in such a depressive state where, and I want people to understand, like I said, this is a trigger warning because I speak about real things. You can get into such a depressive state where you can contemplate unaliving yourself. Okay, plenty of people have gone to that mental state, and unfortunately quite a few people have actually done it, because being in a relationship, a manipulative, extremely manipulative relationship filled with gaslighting, filled with all types of dirty tactics, can push someone to the brink of insanity. And that can push someone to actually take that step in actually harming themselves. As hard as it is to leave, you have to also consider a lot of factors. You have to consider, if you have children, do you want your children to be in this type of dynamic? Do you want your children to be with someone like this? Would you, is this someone that you would pick for your children? If the person you are dealing with is not someone that you would pick for your children or your future children, you got your answer. I know it's hard to leave, but it's not impossible. And I want you to understand that the person that you first met and the person who you saw, who you heard towards the end, are two different people. They're two different people. And if you're dealing with someone who is narcissistic, you're dealing with someone who lacks empathy. You're dealing with someone who does not know how to regulate emotions. And that's not your fault. Oftentimes they project their trauma onto you. They will project their trauma onto you. And just, listen, don't think that a narcissistic person, got everything on a silver platter. Not all of them have gotten that. You have narcissists who have been severely abused and pushed to the point where they were taught that love does not exist, emotions do not exist, empathy does not exist. Okay, these are things that they have put into their thought process, and they grew up with that. But you got to also, and I want to mention this, guys, because not everyone, we know the factors. Number one, no one is born a narcissist. Okay, no one is born this way. No one is born this way. This is a thought process. Narcissism is a thought process. Okay, this is how they were trained. Narcissists are people that have been completely brainwashed. They have been completely manipulated. These are people who have been manipulated throughout their life. So they're the opposite of you, meaning that you have been manipulated throughout your life. You have been possibly brainwashed throughout your life. I mean, listen, how many of us have grew up with codependency, lack of self-love, lack of respect for ourselves, right? But how you project to other people and how they project onto other people, you guys went in two separate ways. Codependence, okay, empathetic codependence. I have to emphasize that. Empathetic codependents are the givers. We're the ones who are the people pleasers. We're the ones who constantly do for others to gain approval, to gain some form of approval, some form of validation, some form of just being noticed. Narcissists, okay, they manipulate people, they lie to people, they put on this mask for people because they know that if they show who they truly are, which are people who have been severely traumatized throughout their life, they probably don't even realize that. These are people that use tactics to get what they want out of people because they know that their own personality, which is actually a personality that has been projected onto them. That's not even their personality, guys. That's not. Believe that or not. That's why it's a disorder. Okay? A disorder within a personality means that there's something wrong. Something is not right. The personality that they carry is the personality that has been provided to them. I've explained this before. When we're born, we are born as blank canvases. As we grow up based on what we're taught, right? Sometimes we go against the grain. And that's probably what a lot of you are. A lot of you are considered the black sheep. You go against the grain of your family's beliefs. You go against the grain of what people are trying to make you believe. So if your mom told you, ladies, if your mom told you, well, you got to use every man for, whatever they have because, you got to get them before they get you. That's simply because your mom experienced a lot of BS with some BS type of men. And she has basically, her mind has pretty much been programmed to believe that men ain't shit. So, of course, she's going to project that onto you. But now if you go against the grain with your mother and you say, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right, because I have male friends. I know some guys that are really respectful and really nice, and not everybody is like that. You have reasoning, so you're using logic and emotion. People like that are simply, because I've been burned so many times, I'm going to basically now flip it around. I'm going to use men before they use me. I'm going to hurt them before they hurt me. I'm going to cut them off and discard them before they do that to me. That's exactly what a narcissist is. A narcissist has learned these behaviors. They're not born with these behaviors. And whether they learned it at home from their parents, or they learned it on the streets from their friends, or they learned it from their relationships, because yes, someone can become extremely emotionally detached and emotionally unavailable by dealing with extremely toxic relationships, to the point that they shut that off. They shut it off and they say screw everyone. This is why often they say the parents don't have to be narcissists for someone to become extremely narcissistic, or to become emotionally detached, or become extremely unsympathetic, or unempathetic. I'm sorry, give me 1 second, guys. How do I cope when I leave? The pain from healing is so painful. Luck for me, I don't have kids. Okay, so lucky for you, you don't have kids. Coping is, everybody copes in different ways. Okay, everyone copes in different ways. Everyone heals in different ways. You have people who may take a few months. It could take a couple of years. It just really depends on how long it was, and it also depends on your own traumas, because you got to remember that the longer your relationship lasted with someone who was abusive, and abusive does not have to be physical, the longer it lasted, more than likely you had some of your own internal struggles. You had some of your own traumas that came to the surface. Because when you start a relationship with someone, and let's just say, yeah, you met someone online, you don't know they're a narcissist. You don't know that they're emotionally detached or they're unavailable. The majority of the time, people who go on dating sites, you have people who go on there to find hookups, to find sex, whatever, but oftentimes when it comes to being in relationships with people, anything is bound to happen, and they're capable of anything. People are capable of anything. But when you're dealing with someone who has shown you and given you every reason to leave, but you have decided to stay, 9 out of 10 times, that's indicative of there is also something there within you that is keeping you there. There's something there, whatever that may be. Okay. I often use myself again as an example, because I have no shame in, my experiences. I've gone through the motions. I know what it feels like. I know what it's been. I learned about my codependency. I had fear of abandonment. I feared so much of being alone, of being left, of not being loved, that I put up with abusive behaviors. I put up with people putting their trauma onto me. And me thinking that if I continue to show them love, if I continue to show them, something different, something that they've never had, then maybe they'll ease up and they'll, back off a little bit and they'll see, okay, you know what? She's the real deal. Yeah. Little did I know that I did not have to put up with any of that. Because when you got into the relationship with them, you went in there with just yourself, right? You went to meet with them, you sat down, you had conversation with them, you had coffee with them, you did all of these things with them, and you thought, oh, this is pretty cool. This is great. We're vibing, we're getting along, everything seems good. Did you have insecurities? Yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you had your own issues. I'm sure that you had relationships from the past that screwed you over. But you had no intention on making someone else pay for what someone else did to you. So when you end up being in a relationship with this person, there are, you know how you know that it may not go in the way that it should go for you? When you start seeing it's like little signs here and there. And oftentimes in the beginning, the mask will slip. If you pay close attention, it will slip. And you will notice different things, certain things that maybe before you would have never put up with, but something, you are so intrigued by this person, you're so attracted to this person, you finally met someone who's not like every other douchebag that you dated. You know what? I can overlook a few things and let's see where this can go. And that's what you did. You overlooked a few things, and those little tiny signs, very small, were little red flags that were telling you, you got to get out of this because it's not going to get any better from here. And those little red flags that bypassed you, they noticed that too. Well, she saw certain things that I really didn't want her to see so soon, but she didn't say anything about it. Okay. All right. I'll make sure not to let that slip out so soon again. We're going to give it a little more time. Right. And then it starts to become, everything is great. You guys are going through a great time. And then what happens? Things start to get rocky. You start to notice certain inconsistencies. You start to notice that, attitudes are coming to surface. You start to notice that they're talking to you in in tones that you're like, well, wait a minute, that's not necessary. And if you notice, this keeps, I don't know, Amanda, this keeps exiting out. But if you notice, if you stand up for yourself and you say, well, something, you're not going to talk to me like that, they'll back down. Too soon. It's too soon. So when you start to stand up for yourself and you start to say, no, you're not going to talk to me like that, you're not going to treat me like that, they'll back down for a little bit because it's too soon for any of that other nonsense to begin. Then over time and little by little, you'll start to notice it. And then you'll start to notice the fights. First, they start off as disagreements, then they turn into arguments, and then they turn into fights. And then sometimes you'll start to see that fights are just being picked, you're being picked on, or fights are just starting. I don't know what's going on with this. Fights are just starting for no reason. Absolutely no reason. And I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. This just keeps
being so wrong with it.
The damn thing is not working.
You're gonna knock your laptop over. Patience.
I can't see. I'm blind.
Svina, you look old.
I know I look all crazy now. But little by little, they start to pick little fights with you. And this is because they're just starting to push the envelope with you a little. They got to test the waters with you to see what they can and cannot do. But it's always often when you start to get deeper and deeper and deeper in the relationship, remember those little red flags that you ignored, and certain little things that you had forgiven, like if they're quick to apologize and say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have acted like that. And you were quick to forgive it and say, okay, because you're starting to fall in love with them and you're starting to develop a bond with them. That stuff all starts to resurface. It all starts to resurface. But It doesn't start until they start utilizing the tactics, until they start utilizing certain things that'll make you feel. A narcissist role in your relationship is to make you feel less confident about yourself. It's to make you feel like you are inferior to them. They're superior to you. And I plenty of times I've said it. If they lose control of your relationship, of the situation, of you, they start to panic. They start to panic because when someone loses control, a manipulator loses control, or they see that they're losing it, that's a sign of weakness. That's a sign of, if you have more authority than me, if you have more power than me, you can discard me at any time because my mask can fall and boom, you won't want anything to do with me. You will want nothing to do with me. And then I have to go crazy trying to look for new supply because you've already seen everything about me. But if they can control you, if they can gaslight you, if they can manipulate you to believe that they're the ones who's in the driver's seat, and when that relationship ends, and I'm not even going to use end. I'm not even going to use end. When it pauses, I'm going to use the word pause because they have no intention on it fully ending. They have no intention on it fully ending. But when that relationship pauses because either they got bored or you're starting to notice certain things, like you're starting to see through the fog, they're going to be able to detach and move away from you on their terms. It can never be on your terms, because if it's on your terms, chances are that would be the finality of it. Like, wait a minute, oh no, you all types of messed up in the head and you doing all this nonsense and you're lying and you're not being transparent with me. No, I'm out. Because they know that you're not the problem. They know that you're not the problem. Listen, I know you guys played your role. I know you guys played your part in your relationship and you take accountability for what you have done. But at the end of the day, to be on that side of the fence, to be the kind of person that has to use manipulation and, make someone feel like they're inadequate, like they're a piece of crap, to emasculate someone, to make someone feel like just garbage, so you can feel like a man, or you can feel like a woman, or who does that? Who does that? The psychological effects of a narc relationship last very long, for me at least. It does. It does. You don't forget. Let me tell you something, guys. When people say, well, forgive, yeah, forgive. Forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for you. And forgiveness does not mean that they get a pass. Doesn't mean that, well, if I forgive this person, because you have people who have experienced this and they feel that if they stay mad, or if they stay, sitting, I guess it's safe to say, if they stay suffering, that it will, it will, it's self-victimization. That's really all it is. You are self-victimizing if you don't accept it for what it is and just learn from it. It's painful. I know it's painful. I listen, I've been there, child. I have been there. Okay. I have been there. People thought I was on drugs. That's how much weight I lost from all the stress and the aggravation and the pain and the depression. People thought that I was literally taking drugs. So I've been there. If you sit in it and you stay in it and you stew in it, that's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to be mad. They want you to feel pain and anger, and even in some cases resentment, because any kind of emotion from you still means that they have control over your feelings. They want you to feel all of these things. The one thing a narcissist does not want you to do is to forgive them and then move along. Because you see, their idea of forgiveness is, I ended things with you on my terms. I'm going to come back to you on my terms. I'm going to come back to you when I've done all that I could do, whatever I wanted to do. And I come back and I say, please forgive me. Or, can we just start over again and let's wipe the slate clean and let's just sweep everything under the rug and let's just, and I promise it'll never happen again. Their idea of forgiveness is letting them back in. But the fact of the matter is, forgiveness is closing that door and moving on. You don't have to take these people back. You don't have to. Please don't feel bad for them. Please don't feel bad for them, because they will try that on you too. They will try anything they can to get back into your good graces. They can tell you, oh, my grandmother just passed away. My condolences. Boundary's still there. My dog got run over. Sorry to hear that. Boundary still there. You have to develop that immunity. You have to basically get to the point where you're so numb that you just become completely indifferent. And it doesn't mean that you never cared. Please do not let them manipulate you to believing that, well, you don't give a shit about me, so that means you never cared. No, it's because I cared too much that I had no choice. I was putting you on the pedestal. I was taking care of you. I was nurturing you. I was giving you 95% of this relationship. I was doing so much for you that I forgot about me. And they will try to make you feel guilty for thinking about yourself, especially when they were giving you the bare minimum. They were giving you less than 10%. You were doing all of the legwork. You were doing everything. You were fulfilling it with emotions. You were being the sweetheart, or, you were being the guy who did everything for her. You catered to her needs. You loved her. You brought her flowers. You did all of these things to show them that you appreciate them based off of what they were posing to you, not based off of who they really are. Because if you had known who they really were, you wouldn't have even gone as far as being in a relationship with them. And a little bit of a side note, please do not allow the physicalities, and you know what I mean when it comes to sex, do not allow that to cloud your judgment. Sex can cloud your judgment. Sex releases certain types of hormones, okay, that will cloud your judgment. It will cloud your judgment, and you will misconstrue love and attachment. Okay? Love is an emotion. Sex is an action. And when people stay in relationships, because, listen, everybody's been there, right? Everybody's been there. I know it. Often it's like, oh, I love this person. No, you love what they can do. Certain things they can do to fulfill your flesh. Yeah. Who doesn't like to feel pleased? Who doesn't like pleasure? But you cannot misconstrue. You can't mix attachment with love. It's not the same thing. And often the reason why it's so hard to walk away and it's so hard to release yourself. Thank you for the roses, sweetheart. The reason why it's so hard to release yourself, it really doesn't have much to do with love. It has more to do with attachment. It's a very unhealthy attachment. It's like someone who is an addict, right? When they're an addict, they don't love the drug. They're addicted to it. They're attached to it. It's something that makes them feel good. Toxic people, there's something about them that makes you, if it's enticing, it's exhilarating, it's a rush. Because they could be good at something. And let's use sex as an example. They could be really good at sex. They know that they're good at it. They know that they're well endowed, or they know that they're the kind of female that every man wants. And believe it or not, narcissists, a lot of them can be very hypersexual. For example, the somatic narcissists, those are the ones that are very superficial, very vain, very focused on their physical looks, very focused on achieving, by any means necessary, achieving whatever it is they want. Okay? They want what you have. If you are in a relationship with someone and they want what you have, they will stop at nothing to get what they want. They will cross boundaries. They will seduce. They will charm. They will do whatever it takes. And it's not because they care about your person or because they love your person or because they want to start a commitment and have a relationship with them. No, it's just because it's the thrill for them. They're thrill seekers. They're thrill seekers, which is why they're hypersexual. A lot of them are, not all of them, because on the flip side of that, you have narcissists that suffer from sexual dysfunctions. There's two sides to every coin. Your ex was hypersexual. He wanted it. Hi, beauty baby. Hi, sweetheart. He wanted it all the time. And there's nothing, listen, don't get me wrong. There's nothing with wanting to make love to your partner. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be intimate with your partner. There's nothing wrong with that, especially when you're in love and you have a healthy relationship. That's the key word. But when you are dealing with someone who is hypersexual, and they may even joke about it and say, well, I'm a nymph, or I'm this, or I'm that. I got to have it all the time, each and every day, or whatever the case. If they go out of your relationship and they cheat and they do whatever, oftentimes they will deflect. They will more than likely blame you. They'll probably blame you as to why they cheated, or they'll try to point out some kind of flaw or inadequacy that you have to justify their cheating. Oh, well, you don't turn me on anymore, so I had to go out there and get it from someone else. Or they will use things such as, what you won't do, another man or another woman will do for me. That's also triangulation, believe that or not. That's triangulation. What you won't do, first of all, I don't believe you should say something like that to your partner. That's my opinion. If people don't agree with me, it is what it is. I don't care. I don't think you should say something like that to your partner. That's very disrespectful. It's just blatantly disrespectful. What you won't do for me, another man or another woman will do for me. Don't talk about it. Be about it. That's it. If you have to put yourself in a position to say, well, this isn't doing anything for me, it's not fulfilling me, or whatever the case may be, fine. That's fine. You express your feelings and you move along. But you don't sit there telling someone that, because that really instills, first of all, you don't know how the partner is going to react if you say something like that. But more importantly, you are, believe it or not, and this is why I tell people, be careful how you use your words too, because if you're not careful with how you use your words can come off as manipulative. They can come off as trying to basically push someone to do something for you, in your favor. You should never have to do that. You should never have to do that. That is what they do. They imply certain things. They will say certain things. They will use key words or trigger words to get you to conform for them. But you should never have to find yourself doing that in your relationship. If you feel unhappy in your relationship, okay, fine. Express it. Now, if your partner says, well, what can I do so we can get back on track? Because there's nothing wrong with effective communication is the most important thing. Okay? What can I do so we can get back on track? Because I love you and I care about you and your happiness means the world to me. That's effective communication. Now, if your partner says, well, fuck it then. I mean, this is who I am. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't know what you want me to do. You already got your answer. You got your answer. They have no intention on changing. And being in relationships with narcissists, you are intending for them to change. You want them to change. You want everything to go back to the way it was when you first met them. And I'm going to tell you right now, even if it does, it will not last long. It will not last long at all. You will immediately, if not, I would say maybe we'll give it like a month or two, but that's putting it like mildly. But you will more than likely start to see them just revert right back into their same behaviors, right back into their old behaviors. It's a waste of time. It really is, especially if they haven't gone for help. A narcissist will not change unless they get the help that they need. And a lot of them are in denial about their problems. So they're not going to get the help. They're not going to go to a therapist. They're not. And even if they do, if they say, something, I'll go see a therapist, for you because you want me to do it. Okay. They'll go to a therapist. They'll appease you. They'll, here's my little certificate that says that I went to a therapist and, I'm making progress. Then what happens? They start to revert. They start to go back to the same thing, especially the physically abusive ones, the ones who commit domestic violence. And domestic violence is more, it's just anger based. They have so much anger within them and they lash out on their partner because their partner, listen, we're women. I'm not saying we're weak, but at the end of the day, if we sat there trying to fight a grown man, who's going to win out of this situation? Let's think about that. But often, if you notice, abusive partners lash out at their wives or vice versa at their husbands because those people are the enablers. Oftentimes, they're the enablers. So I'm going to lash out on the person who enables me. I'm going to take out my pain and my anger on the person who treats me good, who loves me, who will cater to my every need. But the interesting thing is, I'm going to chase after the person who's a challenge for me. Think about that. I'm going to chase after the person who's a challenge for me. So let's say, for example, you're in a relationship with them, right? And you do everything that you're supposed to do for them. And you are noticing, and this could be this could be pre-discard, or even during your relationship. They're doing things outside of your relationship that you deem disrespectful. And it's like, okay, I see that you're liking, for example, this whole social media thing. I'm so over it. I really am. Because the amount of attention seekers that I come across and that I see online is just, it's ridiculous with the thirst traps and all that stuff. It's like, come on. Who were you before social media came out? You were nobody, right? And it's stuff like this that really gasses people's heads up and makes them think that, and even for content creators, because I noticed that too. A lot of them, when they reach a certain point that they're getting a certain following, they feel like they can say and do whatever they want. And they can talk to people however way they want and, and treat people however way they want. I don't, let me tell you, just to be clear, guys, I am a content creator, but I don't filter my shit. And I don't sit there and, skim through and you got something positive to say. Great. You got something negative to say. Great. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't. You can sit there and say all the negative stuff you want, but at the end of the day, my purpose, my cause is to help people. It's to help people get through some real life shit. But I noticed that social media has really, really just spread narcissism in such a huge way that it's like, it's got people thinking, well, I have, X amount of followers, so I'm really a somebody. So now you have to treat me. No. Because at the end of the day, I'll treat the janitor with more respect than I treat some narcissistic social media influencer. That's who I am. That's where I come from. Oh, 1 second, guys. After this last breakup, I give up on finding love. You know something? I would say don't do that. And here's why. Here's why. What you heard the saying, what's meant for you can never be taken away from you, right? What's meant for you, if it's meant for you, that means it's yours to have, it's yours to keep. It can never be taken away from you. If someone was removed from your life, that's because that person is so detrimental to your health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, your psychological, physiological, what have you. If someone is removed from your life, that just simply means they weren't meant to be in it in the first place. Or maybe they were for a season for you to come to some sort of terms with yourself, but you move on to the next. I say don't give up on love because at the end of the day, that's what you're here for. You're not only here to spread love, but you're here to share love. You're here to have love. People who don't want to fall in love are people who, sit with the idea that I've met so many sucky ass people. Maybe I don't deserve it. And I'm going to tell you something. No, people have made you believe that. People have made you feel like, oh, I don't deserve to be loved because every person I'm dealing with is a liar, is a cheater, is an abuser, is just a manipulator. If you've learned from this and you've really, first of all, your intuition, learn your intuition. God gave you intuition for a reason. Okay. Discernment. That's a spirit that you have. You have discernment. You have to be able to trust your own judgment. If you learn from this, though, okay, I can only tell this for people who have learned from the experience. If you have learned from it, you will, these are the stages that you will go through. You're going to first go through isolation. It's going to happen. Even if you listen, I feared abandonment. I feared being alone. I did not want to be by myself. I was afraid of what I was going to do with myself, to myself. I was afraid, but I was isolated because I had to be away from the situation, because I had to detach from it to see everything with logical eyes. I couldn't do it on emotions. You can't think straight when you're emotional. Once I detached and I learned how to be by myself for a while and just, just get through the motions, that dark stage, that stage of being locked in your room in the dark, not wanting to be bothered by anybody, not wanting to talk to anyone, not wanting to be around anyone. I went through all of that. And I even said the same thing. I said, I'm never going to do this again. It's funny because I told the person that I was with, I told him that. And he said the same thing. He goes, he was the one who mentioned it to me. He said, if this doesn't work out, I never want to do this again. And I said, well, if this doesn't work out, I never want to do this again, because I've been through some shit too. But I learned that loving myself meant that I can attract the kind of person who's going to love me the same way. It just took patience. That's it. That's all it takes is patience. Be patient with yourself. Trust that you're going to make the right choices. Trust that you're going to discern people better. You're going to pay better attention, because anyone is capable of cheating, lying, stealing. Anyone. You could have been with someone for 10 years, 20 years, been in a marriage, had children, had a whole family, thinking that you're going to grow old with this person, and boom, that person can cheat. Everyone is capable of anything, but it's about trusting yourself and how you're going to handle the situation, because not everyone is like your ex. Not everyone is like that person who cheated, who lied, who did whatever to you. Not everyone is like that. Okay. I hope that, because, our feelings can change. Your feelings can change at any time. You can meet someone and say, something, I'm going to remember what Erica said, and I'm going to trust myself, and I'm going to keep my boundaries up. And when, as long as I see that things are, and the minute if you start seeing problems or you see a red flag, honey, you're not obligated to stay. You don't have to stay if you don't want to. If you get no clarity, no transparency, no, this is a little too familiar for me, not dealing with it, you can leave. You don't have to stay in it. I think a lot of people who are afraid to go back into relationships and deal with people is because they're afraid of repeating the same thing. But never mind them. Anyone can be a narcissist. Anyone can be a sociopath. Anyone can be a psychopath. But you know who you are. So as long as you know who you are and follow it, trust me, they're not going to get passed on you. Pretty girl, the process I'm in now, that's the process I'm in now, and it's painful. I know it's painful. Trust me. I thought this person was my person, that I was going to spend the rest of my life with them. Okay. I thought we were going to buy a home together. I thought we were going to, maybe have another kid. I thought we were going to have all of that together. Okay. I was literally enamored with this person. I was just, and the funny thing is, listen, I'm not one, I don't emasculate men. I don't, I don't put men out to be like a lot of these, these really toxic women. That's not who I am. But the fact of the matter is that I'm the kind of person, I could love you when you don't even have a dime to your name, as long as you treat me with respect, as long as you give me the courtesy that I deserve. Okay. The whole point of a partnership is that we in this together. So if you lose your job or if you don't make more money than me, I'm not worried about that, because we're going to build together. We're going to build on that. So it's nothing to be worried about, because if I got you, I got you. And if you got me, you got me. And I never imagined not having this person in my life. I never imagined not being with this person. Unfortunately, this person showed me a side of themselves that turned me off completely. It turned me off completely. Like, I never even thought I would ever be so turned off. And it's like I reference it to like having like milk sitting on the counter for like a few weeks, and you know what happens to milk when you leave it out, right? And it's like drinking that and having that real nasty taste in your mouth. Because when I saw the behaviors and I saw what this person was doing, when they were doing what they were doing, I was confronting them on it. And every time I confronted them on it, they gaslit me. They stonewalled me. And then, would say some mean, hurtful, cruel things to me. Mind you, this was a person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. So you can imagine what other side of this person that I saw, And when I would ask them why, that's the key word. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have asked that question. Why? Why? How could you? Why would you do this? How could you do something like this? Why would you hurt me like this? Knowing how I feel, knowing that I'm, because when they are in the moment, when they are getting that instant gratification, because this person that I dealt with, I don't know, maybe they weren't used to getting that kind of attention. Maybe they didn't get that kind of attention when they were dealing with other people. Maybe they were always the one that was like the outcast, or, they dealt with, the kind of women that put them down and, made them feel like they were small. I don't know. But because I put them on a pedestal and I made them feel more, it's like I saw in them what they didn't see in themselves. Okay. And that was me projecting onto them. I saw in you what you didn't see in yourself. I put you on the pedestal because I wanted you to feel good about yourself. And the minute I start to notice certain things and try to communicate with you, my situation was pretty much where I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me. That was my situation. Okay. Everyone is different. Mine was, I'm going to leave you on my terms before you discard me. That was my personal situation. So this person decided that what I was trying to communicate to them, they took it as, oh, this chick is going to, she's going to leave me. She's going to abandon me. She's going to hurt me just like everybody else did, or whatever the case may be, because they always play the victim. They never do anything wrong. They always play the victim. And because they thought that I was going to end it with them, they decided to end it with me. And the more they pulled away, the more I kept trying to run after them. So it's like that if you heard the term runner, chaser, right? Chasing after them. That's what I was doing. And the more I chased after him, the more his ego got inflated. The more he was like, oh, but the way he responded to me, see, here's the funny thing about it, because they're not going to tell you, oh yeah, give me more, because you're filling up my ego. No, they're not going to tell you that. What they're going to tell you is you're crazy, you're delirious, they're going to gaslight you, and they're going to keep telling you all types of things to throw you off the scent. But then they're going to keep doing the same things that you kept confronting them about. They're going to keep going and doing the same nonsense that you kept bringing to their attention, and you're going to see it, and then boom, you're going to chase after it. You're going to chase after them again, and you're going to, why are you doing this, and blah blah blah, and all that nonsense. And they're going to continue to gaslight you, and they're going to continue to stonewall you. Then they're going to breadcrumb you, because if they see that they haven't heard from you in a couple of days, or if you're You're in so much pain that you don't have the strength to pick up the phone to say anything to them. You don't have the strength to go online to see what other disrespectful shit that they're doing. You don't have any of that in you anymore. Then they'll reach out to you. They'll throw you little breadcrumbs because, you know, they got to see where you are and what you're doing. And like I said, everyone's situation is different. Okay. My situation was, they thought that I was going to abandon them. I was going to leave them. So they figured, well, before you do it to me, I'm going to do it to you. I'm going to leave you. And mind you, I asked, what did I do? What did I not do? You know, what did I contribute? What did I not contribute? I was being effectively communicative. I was communicating effectively. I was trying to understand what it was to try to alleviate, to try to work on things. But the fact of the matter was, this person's ego was so inflated that they decided to take it up a notch. And of course, when you have someone who's getting attention from external sources, in my case, you know, other women or what have you, the attention was, I guess, I don't know. Because you got to remember, guys, when you put them on a pedestal and you put them out to be this wonderful person, this, you know, this great boyfriend, or, you know, some cases, this great girlfriend, people see that. People see that. People external to your relationship will also see that. And these are people that are clueless as to what's really going on behind the scenes of those photos, of those statuses. They don't see what's going on behind the scenes. So when people see that, and then all of a sudden that person turns up single, right? Because of course they got to let everybody know, I'm single now. That's when all the attention starts to pour in. So now, not only were they getting attention while they were doing all of that during the discard, but now they're getting even more attention after the discard. So this is where you become extremely irrelevant. You're sitting at home going through depression. You are trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And that person is eating it all up and taking all of that in. And mind you, again, a lot of the time, these can be people who are not used to all of that attention. But take it from someone, I'm not conceited, guys. I'm not conceited at all. But take it from someone who gets attention on a regular basis. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Because eventually that attention becomes boring. All of the people that where they think the grass is greener on that other side, they start to see that. Because remember what I said last week, and if you weren't here for last week's live, I said, you set a precedent. You set standards, certain type of standards, whatever that was, okay? On an emotional level, whatever. You're nurturing, you're catering to them. You did all types of things for them that they're not used to, because they're used to dealing with low-level females or low-level males. You know, pick which side you're on. So when all the attention starts to die out and all of the superficial relationships, all of the meaningless relationships, meaningless sex, all of this nonsense that's going on while you are trying to lick your wounds, while you are trying to heal and move on and just get on with yourself, they pop up. You know, I realized that you hear that I realized, I had an epiphany. I realized that you are the one that I want. You are the one for me. You were the one who was always there for me. And I can't believe I let someone like you go. I can't believe I let someone like you slip through my fingers and all of this bullshit. And yes, I am studying to be a psychologist. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a very direct person. All of this bullshit. They're going to tell you all of the things that you want to hear. And if you let them in at a time where you are not even close to fully healed, I guarantee you, you're going to end up falling for that again. I'm going to change. We can work on things. You know, that meant nothing to me. Blah, blah, blah. Boom, boom, boom. Bada bing, bada boom. You know. And then what happens? You let them in. Okay. he or she realized, you know, my absence made them love me more. My absence made them realize that they are, you know, that I'm the one for them. All of that stuff. And I'm not saying you're not special, guys, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to be a moment where you're going to think you're special and you're really not. Okay? That is going to be a moment where you're going to think that you are absolutely special when you're really not. Those are just words coming out of their mouth to appease you, to convince you, to tell you that, you know, I need a place to stay. I don't have a place to stay. I need money. I don't have money. I need to, you know, I need sex. I need this. I need that. I need your attention. I miss your attention. I miss your nurturing and your caring. And then boom, you fall for it. You give it to them. You're thinking everything is good, because everything could be good for the first couple of weeks, months. Everything could be great. And they start to go right back to the same bullshit again. They get bored again, or the fighting, or whatever the case may be, or they got a wandering eye. There's someone else who piqued their interest and they're starting to get, you know, interested in them. Whatever the case is, they go right back to the same cycle. Discard. So it is devalue, discard, repeat. Devalue, discard, or I should say recycle. Because each and every time they come back, it's going to be a recycle period. It's just recycling. That's all it is. And you, my lovely, beautiful queens, my handsome kings, run the risk of not only going through emotional trauma, psychological, physiological, spiritual, physical. You run the risk of possibly catching something, because if they are out there being non-committal and doing whatever it is they want to do and whoever it is they want to do, and then they finally realize, oh, I finally seen the light, and I realize that, and remember, I said, guys, my content is very triggering. I can trigger, and it's because this is the truth. You run the risk of possibly catching something, possibly having something way worse than it was before, having an even worse discard, having, you know, more problems, more headaches, maybe going through debt, you know, it could be anything. You run that risk. And all because they got, you know, they got bored of it. It's a back and forth. It's like ping pong. I got bored with you. Now I'm going to go out there. Okay. I'm bored with out there. Now I'm going to come back to you. Now I'm bored with you. Then I'm going to go back out there. And what you don't realize is that they think that you're their property. And each and every time you allow them into your life, you allow them into your home, into your sacred space, you're reconfirming that for them. You're reconfirming it. So as hard as it may be for a lot of you to get up, get out, and move on, that is the reality. That is the severe reality of a lot of what they do. A lot of what they do. Well, Erica, what if they don't come back? What if they, you know, stay with the new supply, or they move on to somebody else, or they just decide not to come back to me? I mean, there's a number of reasons for that. Either A, you set up boundaries. B, they're still using the new supply. They're still, you know, therefore they could be cheating on that supply. They could be cheating on that person. It's possible. I mean, it's still a possibility, though. Maybe they could have gotten someone pregnant, or they could have gotten pregnant by someone else, and they know for a fact that by that you're not going to take them back in. They know, you know, it could be anything. It can be anything, but it will never stop them. Even though they've gone out there and done whatever it is they do, it will never stop them from doing it towards the people that they, you know, along the line in the future. Yes, let the new supply have them. Diamond says, never trust a person who betrays. My baby is mad at me because they're pulling money out of his check. He said he don't want to be a dad anymore. Well, then I guess he should have thought about that.
This pull-up game was horrible.
He should have thought about that. He should have thought about that before he put his pencil into the sharpener.
Right?
So at the end of the day, you don't want to be a daddy no more. Guess what, honey? You got 18 more years. You got to deal with it. He don't want to be a daddy anymore because not only are you not dealing with him, but you're getting your just due for your child. And that is like the biggest sign of selfishness. You guys don't have to be together. You guys don't have to. You could be cordial with one another. But to make the child pay for that, man, listen. But he should have thought about that before he decided to do what he, before creating a child, and knowing that when we lay down with someone, we know that is a possibility, that can happen. Erica, mine would cheat on purpose. I think I had the worst one ever. And you know what, lovely Leo, I'll tell you, people who do that, that's why I say, let them intermingle with their new supply. Let them, you want to go ahead, go get involved, do all of that or whatever. Create your escape plan and just keep it pushing. I'm telling you, amazingly enough, I never cheated. I mean, not amazingly enough, because I'm not the kind of person who would, but I never did it. I never cheated on this person, even though he probably gave me every reason as to why I should. And he's even pushed me to the point. Like he would kind of like, I don't know what it is, but he would push me into a scenario where he would conjure it up in his mind. Like, oh, so you're sleeping with someone else, or you're dealing with someone else, or let me guess, you want to break up with me and you want to sleep with somebody else, or whatever the case may be. Like, just nonsense. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, what's wrong with you? And sometimes I kind of shudder to think that some of the people we dealt with, with this mindset and thinking this way, it's like, yo, have you not ever dated a smut in your life? Have you not ever dated a dude that has not put his penis in several vaginas? I'm keeping it 100. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to sit here and accuse someone of doing all of these things, that lets me know where your mentality is. And that lets me know the kind of people you have become involved with. And that lets me know that you got a lot of healing to do. If they're going to sit there and play that paranoia game, they're going to accuse you of cheating constantly. They're going to accuse, it lets you know, bro, sis, you need to heal. You need to figure that out. Because if you continuously, and it's not so much as project onto me that I'm cheating and, oh, well, you kept projecting it onto me, so I'm going to go out there and cheat. No, you keep projecting your trauma onto me. I didn't do any of those things to you. So you might want to go to the people who did those things to you, because that has nothing to do with me. But because I'm the only one here, and I can become your emotional punching bag, and I can be the person that you can take your anger out on, you can take your frustration out on, you can do all of these things, you do it. But they won't confront the people who have actually put them in the position of their trauma. They'll take it out on you, but they won't go to the actual people and say, I hated you for so many years because you lied to me and you cheated on me and you manipulated me and you did this and you did that. They won't do that, but they will take it all out on you. Where is there justice in that? None. I feel very blindsided and completely devastated, yet he lives like nothing happened. And you know something? That's their mentality. Because the reality of it is that they don't care about other people's feelings. They don't care about other people's emotions. They care about themselves. This is my life. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. And I don't, it's that I don't know what to tell you. All right, cool. Stay with that same energy. You got to tell them, stay with that same energy, because when those tables turn and God is blessing me, and because I've been a good person and I didn't retaliate and I didn't get revenge on you and I didn't do anything wrong. I walked away, I forgive, and I left it in God's hands. When those tables turn, I want you to keep that same energy. Keep that same energy. And it's funny because I see posts a lot. And even though you guys go through this, and I don't want you feeling some kind of way if you see this type of post when people say, oh, people will stay stuck on the old you, like they'll stay talking about the old you and not realize that there's a new version of you. I don't give a fuck about the new you. The old you still hasn't taken accountability for what the old you did. So you could be the new you if you want. Everybody else in the world can see the new you, and you could sit there and say, oh yeah, Erica won't talk to me because she's still stuck on the old me. The old you has not taken accountability. The old you has not apologized. The old you has not admitted to what you have done. The old you is who you left me with. I will never acknowledge the new you. Everybody else out there in the world that you talk to and you deal with, they know the new you, but they don't know the old you like I know the old you. And that's part of the reason why. That's part of the reason why. So when they tell you, oh, well, I've changed, and then okay, I'm glad you changed. I'm glad you changed. I'm glad you saw the light. I'm still waiting on that accountability, bro. I'm still waiting on that accountability. And because you hold them accountable, that's a key word. You hold them accountable. You sit there and you say, I'm not talking to you. I am not coming anywhere near you. I don't want anything to do with you until you take accountability. And even with that accountability, understand that you will not be a part of my life. But this whole concept of, people are going to stay stuck on the old, no, because it's still the same you doing the same bullshit, just in a different, in front of a different set of eyes. It's like I've seen people who have put up things like, well, you're gonna judge me by your past. It's not your past if you just did it on Sunday. You've been doing the same damn thing for the past 20 years, and you're talking about people want to judge me by my past, but I've really changed. Really, you changed in 3 days? I didn't know that was possible. Good to know. Good to know. He was so mad at his mom and took it out on me. And ladies, if you dealt with male narcissists, majority of the time they had a female narcissist. It's crazy. A lot of the time it's narcissist mothers, but it could be narcissistic fathers too. And oftentimes, male narcissists are the kind of men who have no respect for women. They have no respect for women. Okay. And it's either to do with their mothers, where maybe their mothers play the narcissistic role, or, their fathers, but more so towards their mothers, because either the mothers played the narcissistic role or the mothers played the enabler role, where they enabled their toxic fathers and they stayed in situations that involved toxic masculinity. They enabled that. So if a mother enables the toxic father, she damn sure gonna enable the toxic son. She's going to enable his behavior. She's going to be his number one fan. She's going to root for him. She doesn't see anything wrong with her little sweet angel pie. And narcissistic men don't have respect for women, because primarily if the mother was the enabler and she enabled the father's toxic patterns, behaviors, abuse, or what have you, in his mind, I can only imagine, in his mind, it's, how do you sit here and put up with this? But at the same time, they're accepting of it because it's considered normal in the household. And if you had a narcissistic father in the picture, chances are he was the tyrant. He was the extreme tyrant of the family, which means that he put fear into all of the family members. So if what he said goes. Nobody knows the business. Nobody knows what's going on in there. Everything has to look crystal clear on the outside. It looks pristine. It looks clean. The grass is watered. The flowers are all planted. Everything looks beautiful on the outside of that house. But on the inside of that house lies demons, lies secrets, lies abuse, toxicity, you name it. And everyone involved in that dynamic is not spared. A narcissistic father does not spare the wife, does not spare the kids. And usually, especially if they had a narcissistic father, oftentimes they resent their fathers, but because they want to spend so much time trying to get their father's validation, their father's approval, their father's love, it's like a very unconventional type of relationship. They can resent their dads, but they feel that they love them because they're attached to them, because they're trying to get approval from them. But usually it's because they don't respect women. Narcissist men do not respect women. Okay? They do not value you. They do not respect you. They desire you, which is common with any man. You can be desirous if you're beautiful and you have something they want. But in the end, they don't respect you, which is why they're so callous and they're so cold and they're so cruel when it comes to, and if you notice, they're more overt. Narcissist men are more overt. Narcissist females are more covert. They're more covert. They could be either or, but it's usually in that way because they're loud. They're obnoxious. No offense to you guys, but I'm talking about narcissist men. They're loud, because they have to be heard, and they have to like roar like a lion, to put that fear into you. Females, on the other hand, I was just watching on Netflix, what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever her name was, for the girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein. Well, I started watching little bits and pieces of it.
You always watch good stuff without me.
Well, I haven't finished it, so we can.
Yeah.
Well, okay, whatever. I'm just saying.
No.
But psychologist, and I was listening to it, and I said, "Oh, this chick is a narcissist, or she's bordering psychopath." This is how I know I'm going to get this shit when I become a therapist. I'm telling you. And a psychologist said it. She's a narcissistic psychopath. The entitlement. She was the kind of woman that presented herself as the life of the party. She demanded the attention of the room. She was always so, she was vivacious. She was very like easy to talk to, and she was just a people person, and people drew themselves to her. Like they literally gravitated towards her. But look at what she was doing behind the scenes. Grooming young women, grooming them. Okay? Underage girls. To be SA'd, to be abused. And nobody knew anything about it. Everybody's looking from the outside, except for, of course, those rich, powerful people who were involved in it because they knew. But everybody else is looking at it like, oh no, we can't believe it. That's why when a female narcissist gets called out, when they get exposed, everybody's shocked. Everybody is shocked. Wait a minute. Miss Betty from down the street, who used to make us chocolate chip cookies for all the kids throughout the neighborhoods. Nobody knew. Nobody knew that she was a freaking psychopath holding bodies in her basement.
That's right.
Because they're covert. They're charmers. They're the seducers. Female narcissists are more likely to seduce. Male narcissists, not so much, unless they're older women. Unless they're older women that are really lonely and got a lot of money. Okay? But they will give you a personality. They'll give you the type of personality of what they think you would want. Okay? And that's why they ask you a lot of questions. What do you like to do? What was your last relationship like? And you will feel so inclined to talk to them because they're so easy to talk to. They give you that impression. He or she is just so easy to talk to, and they're so sweet. In the meantime, what are they doing? They're jotting this stuff down. They're studying you so they can mimic you.
Put you in
So they can mirror your behaviors. But female narcissists are more than possibly the worst. They're the worst. Male narcissists are bad, but females, they're the worst. They are the ones who sit behind, and I always say, all of the biblical and the scriptures you post online don't mean anything if you do not sit right with my spirit. If you are just the kind of person that I know for a fact, first of all, I was raised around females like that. Okay. I was raised around females like that. I went to school with females like that. Female narcissists are the mean girls. You guys remember going to school, whether it was elementary or high school, and they were like the mean girls. They always, hung out in cliques, and they always did like, just really effed up stuff to other kids, or, bullying. But as they get older, often it's supposed to subside. But not all of them do that. Not all of them make it in life without being that way. And unfortunately, you have a lot of them who play a very big role in your lives. Believe it or not, they do. They play a very big role in the kind of people that you get yourself involved with. So chances are, ladies, the men that you have dealt with had female narcissists or narcissistic females, whether they be authoritative type females or relationships or, whatever, had a female narcissist in their life who has turned them off completely to women on an emotional scale, on a psychological scale, on a, mental. Well, no, mental is psychological. What am I talking about? Emotional and psychological. They have been turned off. And I'm not talking about sexually turned off. I'm not talking about attraction. I'm talking about up here. They turn that switch off. And when they turn that switch off, it turned this switch off. And that's why they treat you the way they do. And oftentimes I believe, I don't know how true it is, but I do believe that when they are projecting and when they are, discarding and they're being just really disgustingly cruel towards you, I often believe they are envisioning that particular female that they have dealt with, or females, because it could be more than one. I oftentimes think that they are envisioning that person, they're basically putting you in that person's spot. And they're envisioning that person because, again, they won't go to that actual person, but because they're projecting onto you, they're envisioning that person. I will never be the same, but am now knowledgeable and will never allow a narc to hurt me again. That's the only way. It's trusting yourself. Trust yourself. So we shouldn't share too much with new dates in case they're not. You know something? Listen, your past, I see it this way. Whatever went on in your past has nothing to do with who you're dealing with now. Okay? Whatever went on in their past, because something, everything's going to come to the surface one way or another, whether it be through external sources or it be through their actions. I mean, everyone is different. And I'm not saying that you have to hide anything from anybody, because at the end of the day, but I see no relevance. I see no relevance. When they ask you, well, what was your last relationship like? Or, how many people have you slept with? Or who were you dating before me? Or whatever. What does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with you? It has absolutely nothing to do with you. Okay? Because I can tell you anything. I can tell you what I think you want to hear. Just like you can tell me what you think I want to hear. So what is the point? Think about it. What's the point? Your focus is where you are at the moment and moving forward. Okay? People don't need to ask you about your past. You're no longer there. You're no longer there. You don't live there anymore. You're not with those people anymore. So what does it matter to them? Nothing. Shouldn't matter to them. What should matter is the moment. We're in the moment now. Let's move forward with it. Now, if they get so caught up on, oh, well, why won't you share your past with me? because I'm not obligated to do that. I don't have to share my past. Again, it has nothing to do with what's going on right now. And if they don't like it, and if that's something that, you know, you're like, hey, this is the way I am, because they can use that information to devise something against you. They can, you know, maybe see what other things other people have done to you to maybe see, okay, maybe I won't go in this direction, but I'll go in that direction. Believe it or not, when you feed information to people, you're feeding them ways to get around you. Thank you so much for that, sweetheart. You're feeding them information on how to maneuver around you, how to, okay, let me see now. I'm not familiar with sports, but you know, they got like a whole game plan going on. And it's like, okay, now I know, okay, not to do this, not to say that, but I could do this, but I could say that. She's never heard this before. She's never had that before. What does my past matter? My past should have no relevance in the conversation that we are having right now. We are in the moment now. Let's talk about the now. Let's talk about current events. Let's talk about what's going on in the world. There are so many different things that you can have conversations about. Why do we have to focus on what I one thing I noticed, Amanda, I never asked. I never asked about past relationships. I never asked about, because when, matter of fact, he asked me, like, well, is there anything you want to know? I'm like, that's my mind frame. I'm like, well, if it's your ex should be in your past, right? Oh, no.
You should have done that.
At least I thought it was, but you know.
Got the resume.
But, you know, I never asked the guy, well, what kind of females do you date, or who, you know, what type of person have you dated, or how was your, but often they would, you know, they would come, you know, be forthcoming with it. And if they asked me a question, I mean, I give them the, you know, I just give them the gist of it. Like, I don't see any point in, you know, indulging in what went on in my past or what went on in your past.
They expect you to pull out a PowerPoint.
Not a PowerPoint, but it's like, I want to know every intricate detail of what, why? I'm here now. I'm here talking to you. So what does it matter what my past is like? And people, you know, some people will come out saying something really stupid, such as, oh, well, then, you know, you probably got something to hide. No, if I had something to hide, I wouldn't be so freaking public. Now, would I? No. Now, there were situations, I'm not going to deny it to you guys. There were situations in my life that were I had to make moves. I had to make certain maneuvers. And of course, this was in a very low vibrational, very codependent place, and a very, I'm not going to say dangerous, because it just wasn't to that extent, but it was something to where I had to make certain moves to recreate my life. Let's just put it that way. To get away from certain situations that were not serving my highest purpose and recreate my life. And there were certain things that I had to do to make that happen. And if anyone who has been in a domestically abusive relationship would understand that, sometimes you have to move in silence, because there are certain things that you have to do to ensure your safety and your children. That's just the way it is. But other than that, no. I'm like, I really see no point in, because they can use your past against you. They can use your past again. I made the mistake of sharing something very deep and very personal with this person. And I've already shared it with people in the public. I'm not ashamed to say it, because I've moved past that. But I have attempted to take my own life. I have attempted to do that. Okay. There was a very low point in my life. I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue. And even with my son being in my life, I was in such a depressive state. And that's just the way it was. Sometimes it happens. But God took the wheel on that and said, you know something, we're going to try to move you in a different direction. And boom, here I am today speaking on it. And I thank God every day. I told this person about that. It was a very personal, and very few people knew about it. But I told them about it because I felt like I can trust them enough. When my discard came, and I was in a very depressive state, I was crying, I was very emotional. I'm trying to just get clarity. I'm trying to reason, because when you're being discarded, you try to reason with the person. Not everyone, but I did. I tried to reason. I begged. I cried. I tried everything. And this person was so beyond triggered, I guess you can say, and so beyond just pissed off that he said, before you go, I mean, listen, it's the same thing. Before you throw yourself over, off of a roof, or before you throw yourself in front of a bus, guess what? I'll be with you, Erica. I'll be with you because, I don't need this. Like, in other words, I don't need that on my conscience. Sometimes it's not worth telling people certain things about yourself because they will try to throw it in your face, especially when they're in a heated moment, a very angry moment. They will throw it against you. They will use it against you. And that's exactly it was synonymous to, before you end your life, I'll go against my own free will and I will be with you. And I just was like, it's not always wise to share that much detail about yourself. It's crazy because, early in the relationship, they want to know a lot about you because they want to know what they're getting involved in. They can be evasive. I guess one can say evasive. Evasive. They can basically, like, they'll allude to certain things, but they won't be very transparent or very forthcoming. They will tell you things about their past relationships, but there's like little morsels, very tiny morsels of truth in in that story that they're telling you, but not all of it. Not all of it. All right. And at the end of the day, what you have to do is pay attention to their actions, because oftentimes their actions will contradict their words. Their actions will contradict their words. Like, you remember that ex they told you about? The ex that you ain't got nothing to worry about? The ex that's just a friend? The ex that's just around as a friend? The one that did all of these mean, hurtful, horrible things to them? That same ex that they told you about was the same ex that was semi being put on the pedestal while they were disrespecting you during the discard. Because that happened to me too. That happened to me too. Right? I, the one who was the nurturing, the caring, the loving, the decent one, I mean, listen, not for nothing. And I mean, I ain't trying to toot my own horn or anything, but any mother would be lucky to have me with her son. Okay? I'm a mother. I have a son. Okay? And as much as I would love my son to be happy, and I teach him to be respectful, I mean, I got to practice what I preach, right? But then again, depending on the kind of guys you're dealing with, ladies, if you have someone who has a narcissistic mother or a codependent mother, that's not their mother. That's their husband, because they're too busy having to take care of that mother. The mother comes first. The mother is first priority. The mother is the one who has full control. She's the one who holds the reins. She's the one who's got the binding spell on them, whatever it is. She's the one who controls it. So if she says, no, then it's no. Then it's no. Let me see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to read the comments. I definitely learned that they only give you morsels about their past, and they don't share the bad. Like, they will tell you things, and like I said, some of it can be true. They'll tell you things about their exes, but usually pay attention to the stories that people tell you, because if in that story the person does not take any accountability, that is always someone else. I find it very hard to believe that we don't play a role in certain situations, right? Like, we can sit here and say we are survivors of narcissistic abuse, but at the same time, we take accountability for roles that we play, even if it's as as small as enabling, or you have roles. So anyone who tells you a story where they do not account for their role, their actions, that's a red flag. Baby Beauty says, y'all need to look up the wheel of power and control. It's a picture of a wheel of abuse and the cycle narcissists have. So it's called the wheel of power and control. Okay. If anyone's interested in seeing it, I guess if you go to Google, and it'll show you the image, because it's the patterns are they're pervasive. It's pretty much set patterns. So in other words, no two narcissists are exactly the same, but their behaviors are very like one and the same. They're one and the same. Okay. Remember, devalue, discard, repeat. It's love bomb. They love bomb you. Not all of them do, but some of them do. They'll love bomb you. They'll make you feel like $1,000,000. They'll make you feel like you are the best person in the world. And it's just an overthrow of compliments and just making you feel like you're the bee's knees. Then it's devalue. Now it's time to tear you down, because now I have to form fit you. I got to mold you to be the person that I want you to be. Okay. I got to mold you to feel as low as I do. If you notice, they're always, the grandiose types are the ones that they put on the show, right? They put on the show, they go out there, they go out to different places, they go out to meet different friends. And the grandiose ones, you'll notice, are the ones that are constantly like posting on social media, constantly posting up, places that they're going and taking pictures all over the place. And you always see them with a whole bunch of people, a bunch of friends. Okay. And some of them are, friends that either enable them or, are just the same as them. Okay. They're the type of people that want to have everyone view them in a certain light. They want people to see them with a certain image. All right. All while they could be abusing their partner behind the scene. Right. I've mentioned this before plenty of times. You ever had a situation where you are set to go to an event with your partner and they're completely verbally abusive towards you, or just nasty or mean or cruel, or they're calling you names, or it's a back and forth match, and then you could even be fighting in the car. You guys are saying this person could be just putting you down and doing all kinds of just unnecessary stuff. By the time you get to the event and you guys get out the car and the doors closed, totally different person. Like, you guys were not just fighting, and that person was not just putting you down 20-25 minutes ago. But by the time you get to that event, what is it? Oh, let's take pictures. Let's, and show everybody how much we're in love, and show everyone that we don't have problems, and show everyone that I'm the world's greatest girlfriend, or I'm the world's greatest boyfriend. And if you notice, their demeanors, their mannerisms, their behaviors are different compared to, when they're with you. So if they're around friends or people who do not know these behaviors, people who do not know what kind of people they become in private, okay? These could just be regular friends or associates or what have you. They're a totally different person. Totally different person.
Make you feel crazy.
Of course, yeah.
Like you're schizophrenic.
And if you try to confront them, guys, I'm gonna vape. I'm sorry, I've been talking all this time and I haven't vaped. So, but if you try to confront them about it, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What do you still stuck on that? That happened. Oh, I hate that. You still stuck on that? You still stuck on that? Like, what? So we're gonna act like this just didn't happen a couple of hours ago, and you're sitting here, you're still stuck on that? That's your problem. You stay stuck on the past. You stay stuck on on things that already happened. Like move on to the next thing. But in public, they treat you like you're the best, because they have to show everybody that they have a normal relationship, that they have a loving relationship. Because if people see them for who they truly are, and if they're that exposed, they'll implode. They'll implode because people will want nothing to do with them. They don't want to be around them. They won't support them. They won't enable them. The ones that are easily manipulated. But eventually all that other stuff will soon come to follow, because you can't have people associated with a narcissist. You can't have people who are associated with someone who is exposed, and their true colors are out there. So eventually that all starts to dwindle away too, and they end up becoming. But you know what the interesting thing about it is? For them, people are disposable. They can get new friends. They can move to another state. They can go somewhere else and get new friends and have new lovers and do whatever they want to do. People are disposable to these people. A second. What if they rarely love bomb you and it's a constant devalue and discard? Often, if that's the case, it's probably because the trauma bond is probably so deeply embedded that there is no need for a love bomb. There's no need for it. Usually it could be, because again, it falls along those lines of what we allow is what will continue, right? So it's kind of like, it's not abuse, it's just Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's same shit, different day. That's like literally the epitome of it. It's not, it's just something that you guys have grown complacent with. You've just grown accustomed to. And unfortunately, it's something that the manipulative person has trained you. And I don't mean trained as in you're an animal. I just mean pretty much trained your mind to accept these behaviors, and trained you to the point that it's something that has become so, you became so used to it. The back and forth arguing, the back and forth, well, not the back and forth name calling, because I know for a fact, like when it was, I never called this person a name. I never disrespected this person. That was the crazy thing about it. It's like, yo, what? I never disrespected you, and you just flat out disrespect me. That shit is not cool. But you just become so accustomed to it that it's like, okay, this is just it. Let's put it this way: you think you're loving them at their worst. That's the best way I can put it. You think that you are loving them at their worst, that you are showing them the love that they need, and you are just being patient with them, and you are, you're working with them. In some cases you probably feel sorry for them, because it's like, okay, often we will look at them like, oh, you have been so hurt so badly throughout your life that I feel sorry for you, because this is, how you are, and you become accustomed to it. Unfortunately, a lot of people fall victim to that too. This is an interesting one. I found out recently that my narc ex-lover just died. Kind of surreal, but I'm also relieved. That is understandable. It is surreal, yes, because you never wish death on anybody. You don't wish death on anyone. You don't wish to, a demise to be caused. You don't wish any of that. At the same time, the reason it's a relief in a way is because you got closure, if it makes sense. You got closure. And it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about this person watching me. I don't have to worry about this person trying to come back in to play mind games. I don't have to worry about this person trying to intentionally hurt me by throwing their, their new partner in my face, or trying to get reactions out of me, trying to manipulate me, trying to psychologically kill me. I don't have to worry about these things. And I think that's the physiological side of it. You feel relief because it's like, I just don't have to worry about bumping into this person. I don't have to worry about feeling. I mean, the feeling, you don't really forget. You don't forget anything. But it's just that I don't have to deal with this person ever again. And at the same time, someone else doesn't have to become a victim. And again, we don't wish bad. We don't wish death. We don't wish any of that. But death is a part of life. And at the end of the day, it does aid in it does aid in the healing process. I will tell you that much. A lot of us have had to not wish death on them, but we had to imagine that they passed on, because that's how the healing process would have to be. In other words, when you detach and you go no contact, you have to imagine that this person is pretty much, even though they could be, living on the other side of town of you, you have to imagine that they're no longer here, because that's really the only way you can really, truly push yourself to move forward. I mean, in your case, yeah, it's something that physically happened, but that's how I had to think. And it's sad to say that I had to think that way, because if I hadn't, I don't know if I would have fully gone through, or maybe my healing would have taken much longer. But in thinking that way, and again, I don't wish bad on him. I don't wish death on him. I don't wish any of that, I do wish he would let me go, but that's a whole nother story. But I don't wish any of those things on him. I do, however, realize that I reached the point that I'm so completely and utterly indifferent and numb to the situation that I mean, I've crossed paths with him plenty of times, and I just, it was what it was. And for you to get to that point, that's how you know that you're done. You're just move forward with it. But yeah, you don't wish it, but it, I guess it's kind of like I don't want to say a cherry on the cupcake, but for lack of a better term. For lack of a better term. Saucy says, very traumatic, but like I said earlier, I'm now aware and would never again. And that's awesome for you, sweetheart. Honestly, how can I advocate for others, yet I can't even keep love for myself? A spiritual, work on that first. Work on that first. But you know what? I can tell you something. People who are in positions of, people think that having relationships or getting advice from people who are in relationships are better than getting advice from people who are not in relationships. Someone who's in a relationship can give you a relationship and be in a very unhealthy relationship. Okay? That person can sit there and say, oh yeah, me and my marriage, we're great and this and this and that. You should do this and you should do that and you should do blah, blah, blah and all that stuff. Meantime, their spouse is sleeping with their neighbor. Okay? I don't think that it really matters if you're in a relationship or not. What I think matters is the knowledge you have, what you have learned from your experience. Okay, what you have learned and what brings you peace. So if I've learned all that I needed to learn and I brought complete and utter peace into my life, into my home, and I am single and I'm happily single and I am not worried about being in a relationship, because if one is meant for me, it's going to come to me regardless. Doesn't really matter. Shouldn't really matter. Giving sound advice, giving good advice It just comes from you. It comes from you. But you have to work on yourself. Never mind being in a relationship. You have to work on yourself and how you handle things for yourself. That's the key thing. Because when I first started my channels, I was still healing. I was still healing. I was in a good place, but I wasn't in a great place. I was in a good place, but what did you say?
I said you were a little wee YouTube baby.
I was in a good place, but I wasn't in a great. I probably would have more out now on YouTube if I didn't. Well, but going back to school, it's a lot. But believe it or not, doing this has actually helped me as I'm talking to people and I'm helping people and I'm supporting people. Their love and support helped me heal in the process even further. So you don't have to be in a relationship. I say you do have to be in a good place. You have to be in a good place because if you're not in a good place, a bitter tongue can cause a lot of damage. Okay? A bitter tongue can cause a lot of damage. Remember, the tongue has the ability to give life and cause death. So at the end of the day, if you're going to speak, you don't have to be in a relationship, but you have to speak from a place where there's no resentment, there's no bitterness, there's just love, there's empathy, there's patience, there's kindness. That's really where you got to come from. And I mean, as far as anyone in marriages, I've never been married. I can't give marital advice. So the only thing I could do is just tell people, try to stay sane, stay, alert. And just remember that a piece of paper does not mean that that person is obligated to you. It just means that that person has decided to mesh their assets with yours. And, you decided to, because the reality of it is when people get married, yeah, it's a paper that says we're married, we're husband and wife. But you got to honor that. It's not just a piece of paper to be a piece of paper. People have to honor that. That's what makes a marriage work. What makes a marriage work is when two people honor it. Okay? But the reality of it is that that piece of paper says that I can sleep around on you and you still got to pick up my debt. So, I mean, that's the reality of it. I can't, it's just pretty much what it is. And people think that when they get married, well, you promise to love, obey. Yeah, well, we promised a lot of things. Listen, find me someone, okay? Find me someone who's a perfect saint. Find me someone who does not have to repent to God each and every day for a sin that they committed. Find me someone who's completely, besides, well, Jesus is already risen, so we can't pick him. But you find me someone who's gone a day in their life without sinning, without having to repent to God. Okay. And until you do, you're going to continuously have people that are going to commit infidelity, that are going to lie, that are going to cheat, that are going to steal, that are going to kill, that are going to do everything possible to fulfill their own selfish desires. There's always going to be people out there. Is it everybody? No, it's not. But you're always going to find people that are capable of that. So at the end of the day, when people say, oh, well, you need to go to someone who's been married or someone who's been, I would give a married person the same thing I would tell a single person. This is the reality. You want to live in a fantasy, you want to live in a reality. Reality is you got a choice. If you find out your spouse cheats on you, if you find out that they're a narcissist, you still want to work it with them. There are therapists who can help you with that. But you got to understand that when you're dealing with people like this, those are not perks that they come with. They're not amenities. They're not any of those things, okay? Those are burdens. Those are burdens. I know people personally who are in relationships with narcissistic people and they choose to be that way because, well, I've been with them for so long. It's convenience. Oftentimes it's out of convenience. They stay with them because, it's a financial convenience. It's, I mean, that's the only thing I can possibly think of because there's no love. There's no emotions. There's no honesty. There's no respect. There's none of that. So it's like, what's the point? But, if you're from where I'm from, which is New York, I mean, rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is like $4,000 a month. That's the only thing I can think of is the convenience. I'm just glad I'm not alone because I went through it completely alone. Very scary, no support. I know what you are feeling, Saucy, because I went through the same thing. I went through the same thing. I sat through it by myself, but I went to God and I really, really committed myself to healing. I committed myself to getting better. And I never looked back. I didn't look back. I had moments. I had times where I broke no contact. Yes, I did. I broke no contact. Um, and in my unhealed place, if that person had brought the opportunity to me, I probably would have taken it. I probably would have been like, something, yes, I'm in love with them still, but just all of that. And I probably would have went back. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why he kept me away, and there's a reason why I went snooping around, because that's what I did. That's what pushed me. And when I saw that I wasn't going to get any closure, I wasn't going to get clarity on anything, I asked God to reveal things to me in his time. Whatever I'm not sure about, whatever I'm not clear on, just when you feel I'm ready to know these things, let me know. There's a reason for that. You don't want to know these things and you're not fully healed. You don't want to know these things and you're easily triggered, because if you find these things out when you're in a low vibrational state, or if you're in a depressive state, you can end up doing something to, God forbid, yourself or to someone else. So you want to find out the truth when you are healed enough to accept it and say, okay, and move on. And he will reveal to you guys. You ask him, he will reveal it to you. Oh, Casey, thank you for joining us. Hi, Chris. I thought I was living my vows for the worst. Yeah, and people will take advantage of that. People will take advantage, guys. They'll see that you're trying to love them, and they'll keep pushing and they'll keep pushing, and they will keep pushing you. And they see what you're doing. They know what you're doing. They know that you care about them. They know that you love them, and you want to see them happy. They know these things. Everything that they did, everything they were aware. They were aware. Okay? They could blame it on their childhood. They could blame it on their last relationship. They can blame it on their upbringing. They can blame it on the freaking ham sandwich they had this morning. It doesn't matter. They were aware and they knew everything that they were doing. They knew everything they were saying to you. They knew. And they knew what kind of an effect it would have on you. And even if they try to sit here and say, well, I didn't know that this was having that kind of an effect on you. Oh, you lying mother effer. Okay? You know how I know that you know? I know that you know because if you go into your text messages and you go into your voicemail box and you go into your DMs, I done hit every single social media platform you have. I done left you every message everywhere to inform you. I see you, mofo, and I see what you're doing, and you need to stop it because that's not cool. And when I was crying and you told me, oh, here we go, you crying again? Here we go. Or when I was upset because I felt like I was being blamed for everything that went wrong in our relationship, and you told me, well, you want me to be with you out of pity? Is that what you want? You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were saying. You knew everything that was going on, and yet you still did it. You still did it. You still went through with it. You laughed in my face. You went and you were hanging out with your friends and you were doing all the stuff that you were doing, and knowing that I was at home hurting from this, knowing that this was having an effect on me. And then after everything happened, a couple of days later, you want to text me acting like Nothing happened. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Come on. If you've been there, you know it. How can someone hurt someone they love like that? It's because someone who loves you will do everything in their power not to. Well, first of all, no. Let me rephrase that. I'm gonna amend that statement because how do you love someone? I'm asking you personally. How can you love someone and hold so much empathy for someone who hurt you like that? It comes to you effortlessly. Love comes for you. It comes from you. It comes through you effortlessly. You have pure intentions. You are a good person. You have decided that even though you've been through the most crappiest relationships of your lives, that you still hold faith. You still hold on to that faith when it comes to love. You don't want to give it up. And you put your faith in another person. They saw that. They saw you put your faith in them, and they knew they were going to disappoint you, but they decided to play along anyway. They knew that this was going to be chaos and it was going to be a mess, but they decided, I like the way this feels. I like the way you make me feel. I like the attention you're giving me. I like the things you're buying me. I like all of this, all of the benefits of this, except for the responsibility. So when you turn it around and you say, hey, yeah, I mean, I'm doing all of this, but I mean, when are you going to reciprocate? Oh my gosh. Now if you try to reciprocate, well, now you're asking for too much. You're asking for too much of me. You are being demanding. You're being controlling. You just want everything your way, and it's my way or the highway with you. And why can't it be like? Then they start pouring the excuses, and they start making you feel like crap for even voicing your opinion, for even saying what's on your mind. Man, listen. He would text me to about an hour after I cried and be like, baby, I love you. Don't leave. Yeah. That's that Jekyll and Hyde. It seems like when you think about it too, because people with bipolar disorder, you have two types of people with bipolar disorder. You have the type of people that get the help and take the medicine that they need to take, and you have the type of people who don't. Okay? And it reminds you of the kind of people who have this disorder who do not take their medicine. Okay? That hot and cold, back and forth behavior. They're very volatile. They're very argumentative. They're very aggressive. They are, 1 minute it's fine. The next minute it's like you could be sitting there. You could just be sitting there watching TV, breathing, and all of a sudden they could just like become really irate with you. And you're like, what the hell? What's going on? Like, no, can't. Beauty Baby says, yep. He tells me, here we go again. I don't care if you cry. Yeah, because because they don't know how to regulate your feelings, your emotions. They don't know how to regulate them. So because they don't, they get annoyed by them. I remember when it happened, I was sitting in the car, I'm crying and I'm wiping my face. I'm just trying to, and this person was not only sitting there, but he was staring at me and he was pissed off. Like, you're pissed off because it's kind of like that. I'm not giving you any clarity. I'm not giving you any closure. I'm leaving things open. Why can't you just accept it for what it is so we can move on and just go about our days? Like, that's how it was. I won't give you anything. Just accept it for what it is and accept my phone calls when I call you and answer my texts when I text you. And when I come by, be home. But accept it the way I want it to be, and that's it. No. No. I learned narcissists are more likely to have ADHD, personality disorders like bipolar. X had both. They can. They can. Narcissists, well, people can have more than one personality disorder, period. People can have more than one personality disorder. I mean, listen, we all have different facets of our personalities. And we all have different issues within ourselves, you know, and there are different parts of our personality. It's not just one particular personality. But the fact of the matter is that if you can live a whole lie, or even if you can treat someone, you know, who's respected you. Like my thing of it is, listen, people break up all the time. Yes. People go their separate ways. Yes. But it's the grimy shit. That's my part. That's the thing that I can't understand. The griminess behind it. It's, you know, the throwing it in your face, knowing that you're trying to heal from something. It's the back and forth behavior, the breadcrumbing behavior, reaching out to you, acting like nothing happened, and then coming back and, you know, pulling away so you can be distant again, and then coming back and then pulling. It's just is really grimy. It's really unnecessary. But I mean, you're dealing with people who had people in their life that did not consider their feelings and did all of the things that they're doing to you, probably had them doing it to them. When do you start questioning if you're a narcissist? Well, usually if you're worried that you are one, you're not. If that makes sense. If you're worried that you are a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath, oftentimes you're not, because these people don't care. They'll deny it vehemently. They will deny it. So if you're worried about it, chances are that you're not. DARVO stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. And you know, and when you become reactive, because they have this saying about reactive abuse, but I don't really correlate the two, because how is it abuse if you're reacting? You know, it's just, they need to like kind of rephrase that. But being reactive, they will flip it around and point you out to be the abuser, right? They'll point you out to be the abuser. They'll point you out to be the one who's causing the problems, wreaking havoc. And even so, like I told you guys, even though everything may have happened the way, if they do reach out to you, if they do try to, you know, try to find themselves in your good graces, or if they try to get back together, they're going to do it in private. It's always going to be in private. Okay? These people fear rejection. They fear rejection completely. They not only fear rejection, but if there's a chance that you will take them back, I mentioned this last week, if there's a chance that you will take them back, then they can simply tell people that they've decided to give you another chance. Okay? Because remember, if they told people that the reason your relationship reached its demise was because it was your fault, and they put it out there that you are being the abusive one and you're being the, you know, the toxic one, if they try to come back to you and you decide, okay, we'll give it another shot, they're going to tell people that they're giving you the second chance, that they are, that, you know, that you have said that you changed. So everything that they pretty much present to you, they're going to flip the roles. That's it. They're going to flip the roles. And of course, if you decide not to, not only do people not know that they attempted to, you know, re-engage with you or reconcile with you, but they can continue on with smearing your name. They can continue on with, you know, talking all kinds of crap or throwing up subliminals, which is what a lot of them do. Putting up subliminal posts, talking about, yeah, my toxic ex is this and that. Meantime, they were not that long ago trying to you know, get in the good with you. So oftentimes they will do it in private. It will not be during a public setting. Yeah. Yep. Just what Earth Human said. Yep. X is posting that he let me go, but I broke up with him and got an order of protection. Yeah, it's always going to be the other way around because they need to make you appear to be the one who's crazy. And usually, like in situations like that, if you get an order of protection, they may even go and try to get one themselves just to show people, see, I had to get an order of protection on my ex. You know, like it's stuff like that. It's just like really? My ex-husband tells people I'm crazy, jealous, and insecure. That's the way. And you know, and the thing is, and what I've learned about society, here's what I've learned. Number one, based on a small clip put on social media, everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone is a detective. Everyone knows what's going on based on that little, and everybody believes. So it's kind of like and I brought it up before. I'm going to bring it up again. It's kind of like it's an Amber Heard Johnny Depp case. Everybody believed her because why? And see, this is how meticulous a female can be. Yeah, listen, we all know that Johnny Depp had a history with drugs and alcohol and all this stuff, right? And for whatever the reason was, you know, I don't know, maybe he cut things off, he cut her off, and he's like, I'm done, blah, 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 whatever. She decided to run a post, run an ad or whatever, saying that he abused her. She was S8 or whatever. And she totally discredited, to a certain extent, she discredited him to the point where it was affecting his career. Okay. And people were jumping on it. People are so easy. It's so easy to believe, well, she's a victim because she came forward and she said, and then everybody's hyping it up and everybody was, in support of her. Like she's an advocate for domestic violence victims all over and blah, 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 whatever. And interestingly enough, because it was, listen, his thing is you mess with my name, it's one thing, but you mess with my money, that's another thing. And what ended up happening, all of this publicity really, it really destroyed his credibility. It destroyed his character. It to the point that even Disney was like, we can't be affiliated with, with wife beaters now. We can't be affiliated. And it's like based off of what someone said, everything gets put into a court of law. Boom. All of a sudden, Johnny Depp is a hero, and and everybody's tune starts to change. That's what happens when you expose a narcissist. That's what happens when you have receipts to expose them. And that's exactly what happened in this case. And mind you, she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. But there's no doubt in my mind that there's narcissism in there. And she thought that she was going to come up in there, with the victim mentality, because that's clearly what she had. And everybody was going to believe her. She had no idea that he recorded her during certain things to protect himself, which he had every right to do. He recorded her. Go ahead, baby. If you got to go to the bathroom, go ahead. Or you got to go to the kitchen. He recorded her. You want to say hello?
No, Papa, you good.
You want to say hi? Come. You gotta bend down, maybe too tall. You say hi.
Hello.
Say hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
That's my son, Sean.
What do we want to do the anniversary?
Okay. Yeah. I'll get you the toy when you get a job. But yeah, he had recordings and everything, and she wasn't expecting that. She was not expecting that to come out, and she wasn't expecting this outcome. And look at what happens. This is what happens when not only do you have receipts, even though you have a tainted history, everybody has a past. But at the end of the day, he said, no, you messing with my money now? Because he was banking on those movies. He was banking on those movies. Yes, she did. She mocked survivors. What is in the dark will always come to light. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I say be careful. Be careful with what you hear. Be careful with what's being posted. Be careful with, and express that to your friends. Express that to your family. Be careful, because not everything is as it appears. And the people who know you, the people who know the kind of person you are, they won't question it. They won't question it. It's usually anyway, when they slander your name, or they tell other people, they're crazy, they're insecure, they're this, they're that. And even if they show them text messages, look, they'll pull out their phone and be like, look how crazy. Notice, because here's something they will do. They'll probably delete their messages. They'll probably delete whatever it is that they have in there, and just mainly focus on text messages that, are focused on your reacting.
Hey,
Okay.
you're going to get another cookie. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I don't believe everything that I see, everything. I just like to observe. Always observe too, guys. Always observe. And just keep in mind, because, everybody, like I said, everybody's situation is different. No matter who they're dealing with, no matter what they're doing, no matter how happy they may pose to be, just remember, you're the prize. You're the prize, okay? You brought the damn table. You put everything on that table, okay? So what they do, who they're doing, where they're doing it, how they're doing it, that's how they're going to live their lives. They're going to continuously go through different people, because they don't know how to sustain relationships. They don't know how to sustain relationships. They will continuously go through different people, different situations, different vices. They'll go to the kind of people that they feel they can control, because once they see that you have healed and you set up your boundaries and you're like, I moved on from this, I'm done. I don't need to deal with you. I don't care to deal with you. There's nothing more they can do. They have no choice but to move on, and they're going to continue going through different people. I'm sorry to hear that, Sophia. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for anyone who's had to deal with this, who's had to deal with infidelity and the cheating spouses, the lying spouses. It's like, listen, you know what? Leave, but just give the courtesy of giving closure and saying, you know what? Even if this can't be fixed, give the closure. They won't tell you. They will not tell you, because if they tell you that it's over, you will actually believe them, even though they'll be lying to you, and you will take the steps necessary to move on. They don't want you to move on. They want you to stay stuck. They want you to stay in limbo. And I'll be honest with you. I like I said, I speak on my past situation because I can talk about it and not really get affected by it. I strongly believe that my ex was in a trauma bond with his ex, because believe it or not, a narcissistic person and another narcissistic person can be in the same relationship And I believe that because if you've ever dealt with a partner who's constantly going back and forth to their exes, like I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't swap. That's not my style. I don't do that. I don't do that. But if they're constantly going back and forth, and like if you notice, like if their ex, you know, outside of you, of course, if their ex is really toxic and you know that for a fact, and their dynamic, because two toxic people keep finding their ways back to each other, it's because it's convenient. There's some form of convenience there. Okay. They're accustomed to it. So it's like they'll get together, they'll be together for a bit, but then there's always that toxicity that comes in, and then they break apart. You know, one goes one way, the other one goes the other way. But oftentimes, because narcissists are codependents, they are codependent people, they find themselves in a situation, I believe it's called inverted narcissism. All right. Inverted narcissists are pretty much the people where when you have someone who is a narcissist that can be in a relationship with a non-narcissistic person, but they find themselves drawn to relationships with those of narcissistic traits. And that's simply because they're so accustomed to receiving the abuse of narcissistic people that with you, yeah, they get the benefits of being with you and they get the benefits of your love and your attention. However, they have to find themselves back to within relationships of people who are extremely toxic. It sounds like an oxymoron, I know, and it sounds like really, really dumb, but that is my belief as far as that situation is concerned. Like, I believe there was a traumatic bonding there, and you know, each and every time they would break up, they go their separate ways. She would go deal with someone else. He may try to deal with someone else, but because he is still attached to her and within that trauma bond, he will sabotage, you know, therefore being extremely narcissistic in his relationships. He would sabotage those relationships. And I honestly think, my own experience, I think I was just a distraction. I think I wasn't supposed to be in a serious relationship with this person. I think this person was initially looking for something casual, looking for something, because when you have people who are non-committal because they're emotionally disconnected, because they're emotionally unavailable, I can truthfully say that when I met this person at the time, they wanted something casual. I believe they wanted something casual based on their own experiences, their own trauma from their own previous relationships. They didn't want anything serious. But because they got to know me, you got to remember, guys, you trigger something in them too. Your nurturing behaviors triggers a part of their trauma because they're not used to, or they haven't received those nurturing factors. Oftentimes narcissists, they don't receive the nurturing from their caregivers or their parents or whoever. So with you giving that to them, you are, you know, you're shining a light on a part of them that is unhealed, and it's extremely triggering for them. So I come to look back in my situation, and I realized that this was not supposed to go on as long as it happened, you know. And there were certain things that were said. There were certain things that I heard them, but I didn't consider them as red flags. Again, unhealed, you know, but that relationship wasn't supposed to last as long as it did. And in fact, I'm willing to bet, because I'm just so damn intuitive with this, but I'm willing to bet while being in that relationship, his ex was waiting to see when this would end so she can go ahead and get her fill again. Okay? No, you'd be amazed how many people you have dealt with were in a trauma bond with someone else, whether it be their exes, whether it be their parents, whether it be, anybody else, any kind of figure in their life. A lot of them, you'd be amazed how many of them had trauma bondings with these people. And these are the people that they can't let go. These are the people, just like you found it hard to let them go, the people they are traumatically bonded with, they find it hard to let them go, which is why they keep them around. And I answered a lot of my own questions. I'll tell you that right now. Sit down and think about it. All right. Sit down and think about your situation. Think about the people that are involved. Think about the things that they said. And if you really think long and hard about it, you will begin to answer your own questions. And I answered my own questions. I answered a lot of my own questions. And you will begin to reveal to yourself that there are a lot more people involved than you think. It's not just about that person you were dealing with. It's not about their ex. It's not about the new supply. There are a lot more people involved. These people became the way they are, and their ego became more inflated because of all of the enabling that went on in their life, which means their family, their friends, okay, maybe even at work, the different people in their life have enabled them. A narcissist would be non-existent if they had no enablers. Think about it. They would not be as successful. Let me put it that way. They would not be successful if they did not have enablers. Yep, he has mama issues and she lives next door. They don't have respect for one another. Hold on one second, guys. I'm sorry. Well, okay. Question: would you leave a narc spouse to a toxic parent if you have nowhere else to go? Would you leave a narc spouse to a toxic parent if you have well, I'm sorry, Coco. I just want to make sure I'm answering your question properly. Would you leave a narc spouse with a toxic parent or to a toxic parent if you have nowhere else?
Would you leave your narc spouse to go live to a toxic parent?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm tired. I've been up since 6:45 this morning. Toxic is toxic. I wish I could say it's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. At the very least, I would say this much. With your toxic parent, you probably have better ways to maneuver. Okay? You'll have better ways to maneuver because you know them and you've probably learned throughout your life, maybe throughout your teenage years up until your adulthood. You probably learn how to maneuver through, I know exactly what it is. So you learn how to maneuver through the toxicity. I personally, I couldn't even put myself in that position because I'd be like, toxic narcissist. I don't know. I probably me personally, I probably would sleep under a bridge. That's my opinion, but not for you, dear. I would say, yeah, go to the parent. If I had to choose, go to your parent. Because at the end of the day, you may get some, BS on the side, but it probably would not be as bad as having to deal with a narcissist spouse. So I probably would say, go to the parent's house. That would be me. Again, I don't know your full situation, but that's probably what I would say. Spiritual, maybe. I mean, maybe we were spouses in a past life, and you know, it's something to think about. It's something to think about. Me personally, I'm like, listen, I don't fight over no man. The only man I fight over is my son. That's it. I ain't fighting over no dude. And I said it because I really saw it happening when the discard happened. I already saw what was going on. I saw the reconnect between the two of them. I saw the blatant disrespect of me to go ahead and reconnect with her. So I put two and two together and I said, you know something? Y'all can have each other. And I walked away. It was hard. It was really hard. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I walked away. I said, God probably has something better for me. He probably has something better in store for me. And I don't, this is just, they like to be toxic. They like to be toxic towards one another. They like to, be in denial about it. And more importantly, his family enables that. So what's the point? Like, what am I fighting up against? I'm not fighting up against any of that. If you're dealing with somebody who's narcissistic, who's a narcissist, the family goes along with whatever it is, whatever the plan is with that. They're not loyal to you. They're not going to, they're not going to show you any type of loyalty. It's going to be like, look, we got to deal with this person. You can leave at any time. We have to deal with them. So at the end of the day, we have to make sure that this person, whatever they're doing. And honestly speaking, when it comes to dealing with a partner, I personally, if you know your partner is narcissistic, they're a narcissist, and you know that their mother would fend for them, their mother would defend them, no. Because more than likely, if you're dealing with someone like that and his or her family members are enablers, that means that they're going to cover for them. Chances are they're going to cover for these people. They're going to cover for them if they're cheating on you. They're going to cover for them if they're, if they're lying about their whereabouts or whatever the case may be. These people are going to cover for this person. So when I cut one off, I cut everybody off. I'm like, what's the point? There's no sense. And not only that, a little known factor, when everything happened, nobody reached out to me. Nobody's going to reach out to you unless they either trying to be nosy and know what's going on, or they already knew what was going on. And they were just, sitting there waiting for whatever had to happen. They're not going to, some of them may, and that's just because they're fake. They're fake, like, oh, well, want to make sure you're good and blah, blah, blah. Some of them, I don't know. I can't even say some of them are genuine because usually the black sheep of the family want nothing to do with them. So if you were in a dynamic with someone and you were around their family members, the ones who are truly genuine are the black sheep because they don't sit with that narrative. They don't sit in that coven. They're not dealing with that. But other than that, no, you could have been in their life 5-10 years. If you were not toxic towards them, they don't want anything to do with you. If you are no toxic traits, if you were doing the opposite of what they were doing in that person's upbringing, they don't want shit to do with you because you're the one causing problems. You are basically putting that glitch in the matrix. That's what you're doing. You're not toxic. You have nothing in common with us. You're not toxic like we are. You don't, we enable this stuff. This is what we grew up with. Because in a narcissistic type family, everybody's out for themselves. Everybody has an interest in something. They have something to gain. So because you're not toxic, because there is a chance, even if there's a slight possibility that your ways can change someone, because I believe that, something, God heals. God does heal people. And if there was that possibility of you changing someone's ways or being an influence on someone to change their ways, those people are not going to like you regardless. Because you fucking up their flow. You're messing up their flow. Toxic families, toxic people come from toxic environments. And you got to look at the environments of the family. And trust me, maybe on another time, You know, I have to be very careful with my words because, like I said, I believe in anonymity, and I'm the type of person that, even though it was what it was, and I do talk about what I experienced, what I went through, at the same time, I have to look out, you know, for the protection of certain people. And that includes, you know, younger people, and it's just legalities. Let's just call it that, legalities. But you're the misfit in that situation. You are the misfit, okay? You will forever be the misfit in that situation. They're just, and I come to understand that. And I'm cool with that. Nobody hit me up, nobody bothered me, nobody, hey Erica, listen, what's going on? I heard this happen, and nothing. Not a damn word. You could have been in their life for 5 years, boom. Nothing. And you start to understand why. You definitely start to understand why. So, well, we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more on it next week about it. So guys, just in case you didn't know, for anyone who's new, my weekly lives will be on Fridays. Again, I'm going to be doing them Friday nights. I'm going to be doing them at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please follow the channel if you want to join back next week on the live. I did take on an extra class this week. I don't know why I did that, but actually I do know why I did it. I want to graduate a little bit earlier. So, it's going to be hectic, but I'm going to do this, guys. I'm going to do this. For anyone who does not know, I am currently in school I'm trying to attain my degree in, well, actually I'm doing a double major. I'm going to be doing criminal justice, and I'm going to be doing forensic psychology. So pray for me. Please pray for me. Okay. I'm almost done with phase 1. Then I move into phase 2. And then, who knows, maybe I might try to do my doctorate. We'll see. Maybe. But I'm trying to get there, guys, so I can become licensed and give you guys the treatment and the help that you need. And it's legal and it's board certified. So, but it don't take a doctor to tell you that you need to love yourself more. You need to realize who you are, what you bring to the table, and understand that if they do try to come back to you, if they do try, and I'm so sorry, YouTube and Facebook. I know you guys saw my double chin.
Yeah, you neglected that whole
I am
squad.
so sorry, guys.
That whole squad.
My double chin was all up in there. I'm so sorry. I'm tired, guys. You guys know I love you. I love all of you guys. But you guys are amazing. You guys are good people. All right. And keep reminding yourself that. And keep reminding yourself you didn't deserve what you got. Nobody deserves that. Not even the cruelest person in the world deserves that. Because in the end, you know, we're not the ones who should be bringing that upon people. Only God has the right to do that. All right. But yes, spiritual. Yes, I know. I've been so caught up. I've been so busy with work and school. I'm so literally exhausted. I haven't even had dinner yet. I still haven't had dinner yet. But I wanted to jump on here real quick just to, you know, talk to you guys. Okay. You know something? Hush your mouth. But just to talk to you guys and let you guys know that I will be back on Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll get back into the groove of things. If you need to reach out to me, please, narcsurvival101@gmail.com. Also, you can check out the website, narcsurvival101.com. And yeah, you know, anybody who's new, hit the follow button, sign up, or I'm exhausted. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. But I'll be back here next week. Okay, guys? I promise you I will be, because it's on a Friday. I have no classes. This thing in my ear is telling me low battery. So that's my cue to go. So my lovely people, my beautiful YouTube, Facebook, my beautiful TikTok people, thank you so much for being here for tonight. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your Friday evening. I'm going to grab a bite to eat, and then I'm going to go to bed. I'm so beat. Much love to all of you. Thank you so much, Sophia Beauty. Thank you for being here. Give me 1 second. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely beautiful. Remember, everyone, you are loved and deserving of love, and it's gonna take time, but you're not alone. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much for that, sweetheart. Have a beautiful night, guys. Oh, John, thank you. John, I want to make sure I say your name right. Thank you so much for that. Miss Bees, thank you. Thank you for being here. Everybody on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, my lovely people, thank you so much for being here. I will see you next week. Have a beautiful night. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Remember self-love and sending nothing but good vibes your way. Love, peace, blessings, God's protection, all that good stuff. You already know how I do. Okay? Nothing but love from this side. Promise you. I will see you guys next week. Have a beautiful night, wonderful weekend. And I got to try to shut all this stuff off. So if you hear me cursing in the background, pay no mind. Okay? Because I'm just trying to figure this out. Good night, guys.